to know. From masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 805.
Oh my God.
I jumped us ahead of time. 805, Trapped.
There you go.
Seether and Trapped.
Now is that
They wish.
I always get those bands mixed up because I before any of them were super huge, not that any of them are super huge, but you know.
Oh no.
And I did it. I did a show when I worked at the Rock Club in town, and I booked them, and it was Trapped and Seether, and so in my head they're always the same band.
So it's Seether and Shinedown are the two that I get mixed up all the time. Don't say it. Don't tell Chris Frank that.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But there was a period of time when they were all on the same level because I think I did a show where it was Shinedown, Seether, and
Breaking Benjamin.
No, it was Shinedown, Seether, and oh man, what's the band that's Days of the New but without their singer?
Oh.
Like all the guys were like, "You're a dick," and they started their own band.
Yeah. I know exactly which band you're talking about.
Yeah, and
in my head I thought Brother Kane or Candlebox.
Brother Kane is like 10 years before that.
Yes.
But anyway, and the day was awful because they were all trying to get on the Van Halen tour.
Oh.
And so they were all hating each other because they were all trying to get on the Van Halen first David Lee Roth Van Halen tour in like 25 years or whatever.
Oh.
And so they were, and then
I think I saw that.
Word had come down that Shinedown's label, like, okay, so you got to buy onto those tours, like those opening, when you see those baby bands, like they paid to be on there.
Correct.
And Shinedown's label ponied up the cash and put them and spent the money for them to open for Van Halen for, and it worked.
Yeah.
But
right.
and so like they were all mad. They were like, oh, they just bought their way on. I'm like, that's how it works.
They did. And
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah.
You know who else didn't pay to buy their way into a movie? This guy's daughter.
Yeah.
Because Jesus.
So anyway, let's go around the table and everyone can introduce themselves.
This is Joe.
This is Kevin.
And this is Tom.
Given the hate that Matt got, we decided to not bring him back.
Ever again.
Until we do Patreon.
Hey, that episode's doing really well. You always got to have someone that has the opposite opinion.
I always said he's got great takes.
Yeah. It was really good on the episode. I mean, I get it. It's like the internet's doing this weird thing now where I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's not just like, oh, that movie wasn't for me. People are like, Deadpool and Wolverine is a terrible movie. It's a bad movie. And it's like, I get it. Again, it's fine to not like a movie, but there's this argument on the internet and online that it is a bad movie. And it's like, if you say that's a bad movie, right, then what do you call the movies that really are?
You need to go see more movies.
Yeah, 0.5 out of 10. Like, it could be an okay movie or a mediocre movie or lackluster, but like, I don't know.
Go watch Battlefield Earth. And tell me that like that's
like
on the level.
Right, if that's a bad movie, how is Wolverine and Deadpool a bad? Like they can't both be the same rating.
Right.
Like I just don't, and that doesn't even feel subjective. Like objectively, they can't be the same rating, right?
No.
Like there's just no way. So
people love their hyperbole.
I know. So that's the frustrating thing about online when people say this is the worst, and I think people have even said this is the worst movie I've seen all year. Or, this is the worst Marvel. It's like, what?
Watch more movies, man.
I just don't get it.
Like
so
that's
that whole
worst
thing.
Marvel movies. So tell me you didn't see Eternals without telling me you didn't see Eternals.
Or Ant-Man 3.
Well, I know that'd be the best movie.
Where do you rank that, honestly, in the MCU?
Oh, I don't know. Somewhere in the middle, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's been great Marvel. No, there's been great Marvel movies, but I really liked it. But the problem I have with online and why I stay away from there more so now than I used to is that everything's either the worst movie or the best movie. Yeah. All these movies can still be, even if it's a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10, it can still be a perfectly entertaining movie.
Yeah.
Like a 6 does not mean a 0. A 6 is not a failure. That's above average on a scale of 10, right?
So when I think of like a 5 or a 6, I think of that Jack Ryan movie.
Yeah,
The
that's a good example. Sure,
Where it's just
perfectly
like-
fine.
it did served its purpose.
Yeah, right. And so,
It'll get a hell of a play on TNT and on the back of an airplane headrest.
but online people would say this movie's the worst or it's so bad. It's like movies can be okay. When did we lose the fact that movies can just be entertaining
When
and
Zack
you never
Snyder
watch it
started making
again?
movies.
But every movie can't be a masterpiece. Every movie can't be Citizen Kane. If you're trying to watch movies and every single film you're expecting, oh, I hope this is the next Citizen Kane, like you're putting so much pressure on a
I
movie
think when you do that,
to perform.
I don't think you've watched enough movies. I think you can look at something and you're like, oh, okay, they're trying to be. They want this to be the next
but
whatever.
here's the thing. I hear what you're saying, and sometimes I know what you're saying, and sometimes that can come across a little bit like, oh, well, you've seen more movies. But a lot of people that are saying this stuff do see a lot of movies.
I think
that's what makes me crazy. It's like, you guys have seen so many movies. Why do you keep expecting every movie to be the new best movie of all time? Just there are okay movies.
I think
and it's fine.
I think it also has to do with who's putting it together, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's a Tarantino movie or a Fincher movie or a Nolan movie,
Yeah.
you're just like, well, it's gonna be the best. It's gonna be the best, and sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not.
But like, why do you expect a Deadpool movie directed by Sean Levy, who's a perfectly fine director, like it has made solid movies, but like, did anyone think Deadpool and Wolverine was going to be like Endgame caliber of filmmaking?
No,
But
yeah,
it was
like it's not trying to be.
But yeah, and it's
Yeah.
still a really fun movie and entertaining. And so anyway, that thing
I
just,
can like Citizen Kane and Caddyshack.
That's
yeah,
right.
Okay.
Exactly.
okay.
Well, right, and
And
like,
movies that don't start with the letter C. I can also like those.
but like, I don't know. I grew up.
Cape Fear, for example.
Yeah.
We all grew up with these silly movies though, like the video game movies, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, all that stuff.
Those
I,
suck.
I would never say that like Street Fighter is as good as Citizen Kane, but entertainment value, I bet I've seen Street Fighter more than Citizen Kane, and I've been entertained by it. They're fun movies,
Schindler's
right?
List is a prime example. Schindler's List is
Yeah.
like an incredible film.
That falls
Right.
into the category of like best movies you'll never
never
watch
watch again,
again.
yeah.
I've seen that movie
Requiem for
twice.
a Dream
Oh,
is
God.
like that.
But
I-
absolutely,
I saw
it's like
Schindler's List twice in the theater because I was like, I don't know that I'll ever sit down to watch it because
No.
it's so it's difficult. It's a difficult
Yeah.
watch,
It is.
and so I'm like, but in a theater, I like once I plunk down my money in my butt, I'm not going to go anywhere. And
But
so,
but like as far as I would put Schindler's List on the level of The Godfather as far as quality goes.
oh, for sure.
And I think
Yeah.
The Godfather is way more rewatchable.
And I think
Absolutely.
The Godfather ends up on the best of lists in a way that Schindler's List doesn't, even though it's obviously it was Best Picture of the Year. Critics love it.
Right.
People still talk about what a great movie it is. But when people are assembling like the best movies of all time, like their mind doesn't even go to like this movie that's traumatic to watch.
I'll give you one, Taxi Driver. I think that's one of my favorite films of all time. But like, I don't
That's interesting.
I don't sit down to be entertained. Like, oh, I'm just gonna watch Taxi Driver and hang out. Like,
What-
it's
you
great,
were,
but
if
it
you were
kind
to
of
say what is
If you want to watch Taxi Driver but be entertained, that's what the Joker is.
right, exactly.
That's exactly
Or
right.
King
That's
of
very good.
Comedy, which
Yeah.
is
What
great,
would you
but-
like? What is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh,
and
man.
not what you think is the best movie.
Right,
Like,
right.
what
'Cause
is
those
the
are
one?
different, right? Because
Those are
favorite
very
movies
different.
and best movies, and that's people yell at people online for this too. And say, "This is my favorite movie," and they go, "Oh, that movie sucks." Blah blah. It's like, well, first of all, this person said it was theirs, and second of all, they said favorite, not best. So, like, yeah, I love Street Fighter and Double Dragon and all those cheesy video game movies. They're not the best, but they're entertaining, right?
Yeah.
I think so. I've always said it was True Romance. If I'm talking
That's
about quality movies and favorite movies, like the combination, I always say True Romance. But I think Jurassic Park is probably really the real answer for like entertainment factor and still a really good movie that
I
holds
bet you I can guess Tom's.
up. Okay, what's that?
Paper Moon.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
805 episodes, and I remembered one goddamn thing.
How about you?
Back to the Future.
That's a great one
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
And that's what I would have said for you.
I
Yeah.
saw that on the big
Yeah.
screen with you.
Yeah.
That was
Absolutely.
fun.
Yeah, well, that was my last birthday, and I was oh wait, no, it wasn't. I had one more.
Yeah,
After
that was
that.
a little
Yeah.
while ago.
So 2
Dang, I
years-
wasn't bringing it up.
It was
to,
2. No, I don't care. It was 2
Jeez.
years ago.
So, shameless plugs.
Oh,
what
you
are
have-
that?
do you have
Yeah,
last
leave,
week's
yeah.
too?
leave us a review and all that stuff. And then don't forget you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/real spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. It's called the League of Show Sharers, so we're hoping you'll share an episode. Sorry I missed you guys last week. I forgot we were recording
It was my bad.
remotely, and then I didn't. I did it all and left it on my computer. So here's this
Tom
week's.
does his on the typewriter at
Yes.
home when he's
Yeah.
working, and so
Got a manual typewriter.
he wears a little hat with a little card sticking out of it.
He's got like lime green suspenders and a stripy shirt.
So here we go. Lane Levanway, Librarian Cynthia, Tammy Lynn Powers Betts, Chris Falls, Phil Timon, Tom Dowdy, Chris Magic Man, Glenn Cougar Mellon Brewer, Brendan McGuckin, Julianne Jordan, Gabriel Lugo, Dustin from Nerds at Night Gaming, Richard Krotzer, Ralph Tribble, Taylor Ward, Dissect That Film, James Install, Heather Sachs, Ryan Burdick, Edit Photo Gamer, Geek to Me Radio, In Session Film, David Rojas, Spoiler Piece Theater, Colby Mack, Cinema Recall, Bollywood Drafts, Nostalgia Cast, Ronnie Castle, Binge Movies, Matt Naglia, Mike and Oscar, and Ryan Terry. Sorry, Ronnie Terry. Anyway, and also don't forget, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/real spoilers, where for $5 a month you get all sorts of bonus content, and we like you extra. And then finally, you can watch all of these over on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
So there's all that. Let's dig in.
This movie's terrible.
to Trapped. So
This movie had me in the first half. That's
It's so
can we start
bad.
with? So can I throw in a hot take?
Yeah.
This movie's better than Longlegs.
What?
Yeah.
all right, I quit.
Like, look,
Get
everything you're
outta
about to
here.
say about this movie is probably true.
Yeah.
But
you were entertained more.
but
you're saying?
this is an airport novel of a movie.
Yes.
Right? And
This is a Black Mirror episode or something. Like the
I don't
premise.
even
Oh no,
know,
Black
man.
Mirror is way better than
Yeah,
this.
Well,
right.
no, of course, but
Way smarter.
That's what I'm saying. But the premise, like, this is a fun idea. But then when you leave your premise, when you leave the arena.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you work in an arena, right?
Yes, I do.
How many matinee concerts do you book?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many concert
This is a
things about this
terribly
movie
written
that,
movie.
that I'm just like,
It is.
but like,
The merch booth people are employees of the arena and go back to restock them in their arena.
Aren't they?
it depends. Some arenas use an outside service.
Okay.
We use staff.
Yeah.
My guess is an arena of this size would not have in-house staffing.
Sure.
They would be using a third party
a
to
huge
handle that,
tour,
or
yeah.
even more likely the tour is doing it themselves.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. That makes
it
sense.
just-
because the split will be left. Oh yeah, from
This movie was killing me with because I don't even work there, but going to
was she taking intermissions?
Yeah.
Like,
So I will say,
What-
I
how
have,
long was this concert? And,
I
like, yeah,
have,
the breaks
I have
were,
worked shows where there are intermissions, and there's not
usually
set,
a half. There's
no
one-
set changes. I'll tell you that.
I
There's
mean, there's
costume
one half
changes.
intermission.
there's intermissions
like-
between acts. But like,
yeah,
there was a point
yeah.
in this movie where I think the headliner took an intermission.
I've seen them do that once. I mean, you see way more shows than me, but I have seen a show where the headliner has taken a break and came back.
Bob
I've
Seger did it.
I've seen that.
and,
but-
normally it's older established
Right.
acts who have been around for 30 and 40 years.
Shout out to Aerosmith. That is.
Yeah, I
calling
know.
it a
I had
day.
tickets.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Damn it.
But like, did he not consult anyone that's ever ran a concert?
Well,
or
he
been to-
clearly had to rent an arena to film
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah.
So you would think the people at the arena would be like, this isn't how we do any of this.
It's just
Like,
frustrating because, like, I mean,
when
again,
the guy went down to restock the shirts,
And he brought Josh Hartnett with him.
and he came back with 3 shirts.
yeah,
And I was like, no, buddy.
he had a little tiny stack
Yeah,
of this, like,
right.
you're bringing back, but you got a hand truck. You're bringing back 4 or
As many
5
boxes as you can
boxes of
carry.
shirts.
yeah, he left them. They're busy, and then he came back with literally a stack of like.
And how would you run out of small at a show that's target demo
To
is 13
small
years
women.
old?
Small
right?
kids.
Like it's
Like, yeah.
It's the movie, right? Okay, fun premise, but the writing, and I don't mean dialogue, but the writing is so bad in this movie. I just
to
don't-
me, this is like on the level of The Happening. And The Happening,
I've
I
never
think,
even seen that.
it
I
is
never saw
one
that
of the
one.
worst.
Okay,
I
is that Mark
Shyam-
Wahlberg?
Yes,
Yeah.
with the
Where they
plants.
say-
Deschanel, the
it-
plant
yeah,
one.
the plants are
Yeah.
killing people.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so bad.
I'm not an M. Night Shyamalan hater. Obviously his first few movies were really good and most people were on
Yeah.
board. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but I liked The Village. I thought that was an interesting twist, and I enjoyed that one. I liked
Lady in-
Signs.
Lady,
Signs.
Lady in the Water is where it starts to go off the rails.
That one I haven't seen. I've never seen it because it got bad reviews and
Yeah.
I never checked it
The
out.
Village. So he does The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable,
And
Signs.
Signs.
and
Those
it's like,
three were
bam, bam, bam,
3 for
and
3.
then everybody was like, "You can do whatever you want."
But you were
And
already hearing rumblings after
The Village.
with even in Unbreakable there were people.
What?
Oh yeah, I mean I remember watching these in real time. I was 30 and
Yeah.
like and people were like well, I mean the twist was that, and I'm like it's not really a twist, it's a reveal. Like
Yeah.
it's and but like you were already hearing rumblings, and then a
Interesting.
lot of people I felt were really at the end of Signs like
The
that's,
water?
That's what we're doing. And then
like Signs,
and then
Signs does have one of the greatest jump scares of all time.
Yeah.
And that alien walks around the corner.
and then people were just really like off the.
I think
M.
it's the
Night
village.
Shyamalan
The
train.
village is the one where it's like, that.
When you saw
liked
the
that.
I remember seeing the commercials and being like, oh, it's the present day.
Right.
Like even in the commercials, I was like, oh, I get it. It's gonna be.
They're gonna flip you.
So this one, what's maybe not interesting? I don't know how to phrase this. So there's no twist, and if there is a twist,
It's
they
the-
reveal it in the first 10
No,
minutes.
no. The reveal is the wife. That's the reveal.
What do you mean?
So
I was
when-
waiting for a twist.
Yeah,
with
like
the wife, but
I
there
thought they were gonna be in it together.
That's what I thought.
When the entertainer came home,
I don't think you can call not having a twist the twist.
No, I think the twist is the reveal that she's the one that left the ticket in.
but that's so dumb because it's like that's not a
don't
twist.
disagree-
That's just
that's just a plot point.
that's
Like I
that's
don't
not
think
a
that's
twist.
disagree.
I think that's if anyone's gonna call that a twist, it's because this
They're
movie
looking for one.
this movie has M. Night Shyamalan's
yeah.
name on it.
That's
right? Like,
that's just the information that you get. And
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, but like
because
okay.
I was like, well, first off, who has a physical ticket?
Well, okay.
Right.
So, but to touch on that, they say that they have scheduled this concert to catch this guy, but he bought the tickets in advance. So, and then they find the tickets.
No, I don't think they scheduled the concert. I think that the concert, like, once they thought he was going there, they decided to treat the
Oh.
concert as a trap because they knew that he'd
But-
be in that area.
But
Okay.
the premise is that they know, for spoilers later on, they know that the killer bought a ticket because half of a ticket was left or a receipt
Yeah.
at the one of his crime scenes, and so it's preposterous to think that they would ever do anything like this to trap
Oh, yeah.
someone. I mean, just the whole setup. That many
Preposterous
people.
to think that there would be snakes on a plane.
but like, okay, so they've already set the seeds. Then what they're going off is I think they have a description of 5 different people that could be.
Oh, 5 different body types.
Right,
yes.
They're like, he might be white and middle-aged or short and fat
Right.
and black.
So I'm like, so wait a minute. So you're telling me that they have 5 different wildly looking people,
Yeah.
and they're gonna skin every person
but
in
they
an
also
arena.
they also know that he has a tattoo of a rabbit on his wrist.
On his wrist.
Right.
I mean, look, this movie is dumb.
It's real. It's
like,
so bad.
But like, I feel like this movie knows it's dumb.
I-
Like,
Also,
okay.
he should have been like, "Oh, I have a sheep on my wrist. I'm good."
I
Because it
don't-
wasn't a
I
rabbit,
don't.
right?
But
Like-
that's the excuse that he gave for the happening.
Yeah.
Is like, I wanted to make a cheesy B movie, and it's like, no, you made a movie.
Yeah.
And now you're backtracking.
But
See-
that's the excuse everyone's making for this movie, and
See,
I
the-
just don't.
The problem I had with Longlegs is that it was too well made for a screenplay that dumb. Like it was really good at establishing mood and
Yeah.
tension and like making you think you're seeing this really serious movie, and then when you get to the story, like, well, that's just kind of dumb and silly, and like this, like I
And
said,
terrifying.
This is an airport novel of a movie. Like
Oh.
if I read a Karen Slaughter novel, which I do,
Wow.
and I enjoy,
Yeah.
but like I don't think I'm getting a realistic look inside the mind of a murderer.
Sure.
I'm reading a trashy crime novel.
Yeah, I will
and that's
say-
okay. And so, and like, if this movie had been made with the feel and tone of Longlegs, I think I would have an abject hatred for it.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
and I'm not like, this movie's amazing. I was reasonably entertained by this film, and there are a lot of dumb things that
It's-
are fun to
it's
talk
too
about
dumb
and make
for
fun
me.
of. But like,
It's
I
too
don't,
dumb.
I don't think it, I don't think it was ever really trying to be.
But
I do.
all that
So I
great.
here. This is what I will
he's too
say
good
about,
of a filmmaker to make this dumb of a movie.
Here's,
Like,
I don't think that he is anymore.
I think
we
know he has it in him.
What he had, he does not have it anymore.
That's interesting. Well, but he came back with the grandparents movie, and that
I will give you that. The
the
visit,
beach
the
I thought was decent.
old.
you mean?
Yeah, right, yeah, the one on the
Beach is a
beach.
different movie.
I know.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what it was
But-
called. And then the
But he
one
didn't write
with
that.
Batista.
He didn't write that. That's based off a novel.
Sure.
Like, that's not
Well, but
an original.
But you're saying filmmaking wise, not writing. You were just saying filmmaking. He doesn't.
Well,
have
I
that,
think for
right?
him though, when I say filmmaking, it's all encapsulated. Like he does all this stuff. But let's not forget Avatar. The last Airbender, not Avatar.
It is called Avatar. The
It's
Last
called
Airbender.
Avatar: The
Oh,
Last
is it really?
Airbender.
Oh, I
yeah.
thought they couldn't call it Avatar because of the Cameron flick.
Well, they
No.
had to add the subtitle.
Avatar came before Avatar. anime series. And
I think James Cameron was like, no.
I don't know.
It's
that-
made before.
I mean, as an IP, it predates.
I guess that's true.
They take him to
I'm
court any
surprised
date.
that
They
the
didn't
Airbender camp didn't go after
Absolutely.
Cameron.
That's fair.
But
But After Earth,
yeah.
I mean, so like,
Yeah, but he's been back since then. The last
Yeah.
few movies we talked about, and
is
that one with
there a
Batista.
is there a director we've talked about more? I feel like we've talked about M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, he's making like a
lot.
movie a year
That's what
now.
I'm
I
saying.
feel.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? And who else? Guy Ritchie is making a movie a year at
Does he
least.
really?
Like,
yeah, we don't
he's-
typically talk about those.
Yeah, but it's just interesting. Some of these directors
Yeah.
now, I think some of the
Agreed.
directors that used to make like one really big movie every few years, it seems like now they're kind of into the work for hire, where it's just like they're just working.
I don't.
You know?
I feel like he really likes this. I'm not gonna make $100 million budget movie. I'm gonna do. He likes doing the low. I mean, I wouldn't call this necessarily a low budget, but a mid-budget.
mid
He
movie.
put up
budget,
the
yeah.
money for it.
Yeah,
and
and
that's what he's been doing.
yeah, and I think he likes doing it that way. I think he, like he's gonna churn content, and he's gonna do it at a good price point,
Yeah.
and that's his jam.
Well,
but
I think he I think it started with The Visit. I think he self-financed The Visit, and that was all found footage. Like that whole movie was found footage for the most part.
The Visit. That's the grandparent one, right?
Yeah.
That's not found footage.
Sure, isn't it? It's
No.
it's all
It's not
done.
found footage. It's a
Isn't it-
regular looking movie.
I thought it was
There's
all
there's
done-
an aspect where the kid wants to be a filmmaker, so there are some found.
Oh,
I don't-
I think that it is found footage.
Now I'm second guessing
What?
myself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that movie is all found. It's done through like
Yeah.
Skype, and
Yeah, I
he's
think-
filming the whole thing.
because the kid wants to be a filmmaker.
yeah,
Oh, I didn't
Yeah, I
remember
but
think
he
you're right.
but he self-financed that, and it exploded. That was a Blumhouse movie.
Yeah.
and it exploded, and then that's what he kept doing. I don't know if he self-financed. Was The Cabin at the End of the World? No, Knock at the
Yeah,
Cabin
that's
Door.
that's
the Batista one.
yeah.
But
I
I don't
thought that was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
but
I mean, I
al-
think
but,
there was some weird stuff at the end, but I enjoyed that
But
movie.
that also he didn't write that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, it's based
that's
on a book.
Based on a book.
But it's okay. So I think
Glass
his-
sucked.
yeah, that was. a
I didn't
shame.
like Split.
I did like Split.
Either Split was stupid.
I like Split.
So I think his writing has definitely gone a little downhill. But the fact is, I still think behind the camera, he's a pretty competent filmmaker. And
That's
this
fair, I'll
movie
give you that.
looks good. You know, there's some cool shots in it. It's shot in a whole arena with real people, and I mean, there's a lot. It's like has really good production quality. So
I was surprised how good the songs were.
right,
Well, I think,
all these
she's,
made
I
up
think
songs.
she's a talented musician.
Yeah, I believed that. I'm like, these sound like
pop songs. They
pop
sound.
songs kids would listen to.
They definitely
know?
let her sing a lot.
Yeah.
But
was
and it was fine. I didn't have any problem with the singing or the concert, like the look of it. I'm like, yeah, this
I
looks
think
like
she
a real
just directed
concert.
a movie too.
She did.
Yeah.
So my point is that this movie's too dumb for a director like Shyamalan, who has good production value and the songs were good. The concert looked real, real sets and everything. Like this movie looked like
It is funny.
It
that
should have
you're
been
ma-
better.
You're making the same argument about this that Tom was making about Long Legs,
Yeah.
which I
You
think is very interesting.
Like you think the movie looks is too well made to be this dumb, and I'm like, I don't think it is. I think it's like it's not even that I don't think it's well made. I think that I felt like Longlegs was trying to convince you it was something it wasn't, which was a smart and serious look at the mind of a serial killer. Where this movie, I don't feel like it is trying to convince you that it's a smart and serious look at the mind of a serial killer. It's just dumb fun, and for me, on that level, it worked.
it did have there were a lot of weird laughs. Like there were some weirdly comedic moments throughout the movie where I'm just like, man, that is.
oh,
that is
there's a lot of
weird-
funny
that is
moments
A
in
weird
this movie.
spot to put whatever's happening. This is what my takeaway from this is about 3/4 of the way through it. I was like, this is fucking terrible. And Josh Hartnett, who I thoroughly enjoy, is trash. But then I realize about 3/4 of the way through it, he's trash because he is Josh Hartnett's the serial killer, right? He's the butcher.
Right.
Of
Well, that's
of
okay.
Philadelphia,
That was
where
my
they are.
point from 20 minutes ago. That's the twist. But they
Is it a twist?
Bro,
I mean,
it
No,
would.
it's in
the
the
movie
trailer.
would have
That's
been
the premise
better
of the
if you
movie.
followed this guy you didn't know was the serial killer
Yeah.
for a little longer.
I don't think it would have been. I think you just spent the whole time being like, why are we at this concert? Like, why? Like,
Well, I
right.
think, I think
And then
being
you'd
at
be
the- I
like,
think being
oh,
at the,
wow.
being at the concert.
There's a serial killer on the loose, and you don't know you're following the killer.
Yeah.
I think that's
I think
an
that could,
interesting
there's
premise.
something to that. But so what I realized is that Josh Hartnett, who I do think is a very good actor,
Yeah.
If
was
you've
just
never,
an
if
Oppenheimer.
you've never seen the picture of him in the Superman suit, you're like, should have worked. Like, there's a picture of him.
Yeah.
Like, he auditioned for either McGee or J.J. Abrams, and he's wearing the suit. Like, he's in the whole thing. It's like, God dang, that looks pretty good. But he's so stiff and so awkward, I couldn't figure it out. And then when the facade drops,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, okay. I can see what we were doing is he was trying to be this real person. He's not a real person.
Right.
Like, he's this sociopathic.
It feels like when he's being like a good dad, it just
Yes.
feels very performative.
Yeah. Or
Like-
he's having that interaction with the mom.
Yeah.
Right. And it starts off as performative, and then he kind of lets the mask come
Yeah.
off a little
Yeah.
bit, and you're like, oh boy,
Yeah.
he's gonna kill this gal, and nobody's gonna know. And then I was like, okay, I'm into this. Like when he's at the table with his.
It was interesting in that I felt like, I don't know if there's another draft of the screenplay where he kills people at the concert, because it's like,
Oh.
I feel like they were setting up characters for you to want them dead.
Yeah.
Right? They set you up to want the friend's mom to die.
Right.
Or like not feel bad if he kills her, right? They set up the guest appearance from the
Hayley Mills is in this
other-
movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Bliss. I mean, since you're
I was like,
voice,
the parent-
why is
the
she?
parent-
Parent,
Trap.
from Parent Trap.
Yeah.
Trap, yeah. But in like the artist that they bring in at the end that is like,
Oh, isn't that the guy from X? Wasn't that the guy with the blonde
Kid
hair?
Cudi?
Wasn't that Kid Cudi?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought that it was.
Oh my God, it's Kid Cudi.
I thought, yeah, thank you. When he looked at him, I was like, man, that is definitely the guy from X.
with the long hair.
With the
Yeah.
long blonde
But,
hair.
like,
I've never seen him with long hair, so I didn't even know. That's funny.
I felt like they were setting it up to where it's like, oh, if he has to kill this guy, you're not going to feel bad because he's such a dick.
Right.
that got
right,
a huge laugh, and from me too. When he looks at the girl and he's like, "Hi," and looks at the dad, and he's like, and
Well,
turns around and
yeah.
like that was hilarious. This movie has a lot of funny moments, and that's why to me, there's a tonal inconsistency here. There's just the movie starts off and it just feels like it's too well made and it's going to be good, but then there's this comedy and you're like, okay, it's silly, but then it has times where it seems really serious, and we're profiling a serial killer. That Hayley Mills character just seems so out of place in this movie.
I
feel
honestly
like.
did think, given what he did with Split and Unbreakable, I was like, oh, this is going to tie into something. Like, she, honestly,
I
thought,
was wondering if it was
I
going
was
to.
Talk
like-
about someone that was on set for a day. How long you think they had Hayley Mills?
Yeah.
not long.
I mean, I was
She
thinking
can't be expensive.
no. I honestly thought she was dead.
that had to be like a day of.
Maybe.
She just wrote a book recently.
Did she really?
Yeah, a couple
Oh.
of years ago, I think. She was on the Leonard Maltin's podcast. They interviewed her. I
Oh,
think when
okay.
she had the book coming out, and it was a good interview. But she was clear there for like a
I
day.
did- I
Because I
saw
think
her
when they
name-
show the back of her head a couple times, I'm like, well, she's probably just not.
I
there.
saw her name in the-
Because what's the reveal? Oh, it's Hayley Mills. She doesn't have that kind of reveal.
yeah.
So like
Well,
when
I
they
saw-
film the back of her head, it's like
I
she's-
saw her name in the credits, and I was like, it
It can't be. I said the same
It
thing.
can't,
'cause
it's got to be somebody else.
I
named
grew up
Hayley
watching The
Mills.
Parent Trap and Saved by the Bell the first season,
Yeah.
and so like I know her, so I saw that name, and then I'm just like, oh, is there a new actor?
I'm like,
that's
maybe
using
that
name?
girl's name was Hayley Mills. Like,
Yeah.
maybe,
That's
nope.
that's-
It's the real
but
Hayley
anyway,
Mills.
when I saw that reveal, I'm just like, she doesn't have that kind of reveal these days, like that relevance.
No, and what I do think is interesting is that it's hard to root for this. It's kind of like Pain and Gain, right? We're like,
Really?
you want this guy to, he's a murderer. He's chopping people up.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want him to get out.
Well, look at movies like Peeping Tom, and that follow the killer.
Oh,
there's-
sure.
You're not. Yeah, you don't want him to win, but like it does a weird thing where you're like, well, he is.
but I do wonder. I do
protagonist.
wonder, like, how is he going to get out? Like, how is he going to
Yeah.
make this work?
And how are they going to catch him? So like it is I like it kind of when movies challenge you in that way. And
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting, but man, I would have loved, because again, I didn't really see the trailers, but before Alamo, you get there early for the
Sure.
pre-show, and then I've caught kind of some of the trailer, and I try to look at my phone, but I'm like, okay, I'm getting from the trailer that he's the killer and they're trying to get him and he's trapped somehow. So I got that much of it. But what I thought they were going to do was some sort of a different reveal or a head fake, of course, because it's Shyamalan. I'm like, there's going to be more to it. And I think just giving that away so soon and in the trailers was a mistake, because if we would have followed him around, like in my head, I was like, well, maybe he's not the killer. Maybe there's another killer and we're supposed to think it's him. I'm building up all these different scenarios. And I think that it's kind of a mistake giving it away so soon, because then
I don't think studios know how to cut trailers anymore.
I do. I think it's just give the movie away.
Especially if it's got a high concept.
Yes.
Like, it's, you know, they're like, well, the concept is the hook. Like, nobody's going to a movie because it stars Josh Hartnett.
Right.
Right.
Not
And so-
anymore, but
And so it's, you know, so they're like, well, if the premise is the selling point, then we need to put the premise on Front Street, you know?
So
Yeah.
after I saw this movie, I went and hung out with a friend. I don't know what
serial
to,
killer?
Okay.
what to call her at this
Does
point.
she listen?
Nope.
No, they call her whatever you want.
Oh, a special friend.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
okay.
sounds even worse.
Well.
That sounds so much worse.
Oh.
Anyway, we're talking. We're. She's asked me how the movie was, and we were talking about it, and she was somehow she's talking about Josh Hartnett. I'm talking about M. Night Shyamalan, and she's like adamant. She's like, no, he was in Black Hawk Down. I go, what are you talking about?
They
Like,
almost
he-
broke up.
Yeah.
Because she grew up with rom-coms.
Well,
with
she
Josh
was
Hartnett,
talking about
so-
yes.
Yeah.
So she's talking about Josh Hartnett. I thought she was talking about M. Night Shyamalan, and I was like,
He's so sexy. And
"What
I
are you
like-
talking?"
I used to have a poster
She
on the
starts
wall.
talking like that. She's like, "Oh, with Pearl Harbor." I go, "M. Night Shyamalan had nothing to do with Pearl Harbor," and she was like,
that
What?
sentence right there.
"I guess that's true."
One of the great sentences. It's just I need to isolate.
M. Night Shyamalan had nothing to do with Pearl Harbor.
The twist was Roosevelt knew.
Roosevelt knew the whole time. But
Oh.
when we finally, we were literally like, not yelling at each other, but we were like both in awe at the stupidity of each other. And then we both realized, I go, are you talking about Josh Hartnett? And she was like, yeah, who were you talking about? And I'm like, M. Night Shyamalan. And she was like, oh, and I haven't laughed that hard in a
Yeah,
very
that's-
long time. Where it's like, I cannot believe we are both that dumb that we couldn't figure out what the other one was
Well,
talking
so much for the
about.
theory that opposites attract.
That is true.
I used to have his picture on my wall.
For the
Did
record,
not give
she's
it a-
very smart. I'll just put that in there. I'm the dumb one. Like that's
That's in case she was listening.
that just
man.
in case.
Yeah.
Just to err on the side of caution.
Should we get into the plot of this
yes,
thing?
let's
We
do that.
did. It's over. We've told the whole plot.
Well, but so he's taking his daughter. So he's got a daughter that loves this artist, you know, and so he brings her to the show, and then we come to find out, spoilers, it's a trap for the serial killer, and Josh Hartnett's the killer,
Right.
And so all exits are blocked. We're talking about rooftop exits,
They've
side
got,
exits.
they've got cops and the feds are
front door.
everywhere. There's nowhere to go. And if
They have
somebody
armed
does
militia in the building.
Oh my
like
God.
they have
Oh,
people running around the building with.
don't even get me started at people shooting at a limo with a crowd surrounding.
that
it.
was wild.
That's too dumb. That is too dumb.
when
no one
when
would-
I saw
and
plus
plus they didn't even see him have a gun or anything. They're like,
They just
get
opened
out
fire.
Get out of the car, and then they just shot him.
it
They
is
shot at that guy trying to kill Trump, and
Yeah.
there was a crowd around.
that's true.
No, well, he was on a rooftop.
But he was right above a crowd. Like if he,
Yeah, but they were shooting
This
through
one,
windows of a car with people on the other
SWAT
side.
team was like a horseshoe around the car, and they all
with
just
a
opened
crowd.
fire. It's like,
And no one said clear or anything. It was just like the crowd was watching, and then they were like, "Get out of the car! If you don't get out of the car, no guns, no movement." And they're like, "Okay, open fire!" Like that is too dumb for me. I'm fine with dumb movies, especially if all the movie is dumb and the tone fits. But like, that just wouldn't happen,
Right.
Not in
No.
any world.
No.
You just clear the people. There are certain things you have to do. I mean, I'm not a cop, but I get it. There are certain things.
you don't stand.
Disperse people.
If Tom and I are two police officers,
Yeah.
and there's a suspect in
the middle,
of
do you
us,
just
we're just not going to open fire.
let's both shoot.
or a crowd. Imagine even having 100 people. So that kind of stuff really just got me like,
No, it's so dumb.
clear the people.
Well-
You get mad about Superman crashing through Sears and people around. It's like, this is like a real world situation.
Yeah, right.
and,
He's
anyway,
not smashing buildings.
it's so dumb.
So Josh Hartnett is trying to gather information and work out where he's going to go. He's almost like John McClaning it, where he's.
If you've played the Hitman game,
This is
this,
very
I mean, this
similar.
this is very much like Die Hard at a concert, but he's a
but he's
serial
the bad
killer.
guy.
Yeah.
But it's
But-
Hans Gruber.
yeah.
Yeah.
but the Hitman games, which are very good games, there's a newer Hitman trilogy that came out 1, 2, and 3, and now they just call
They
it like
remastered,
Hitman.
right?
No,
Oh.
new games
Oh,
for
oh.
like launched on the new systems 1, 2, and 3, and now it's called Hitman World of Assassination, and it's all kind of like one game, and they keep adding levels to it, so it's kind of an ongoing
okay,
thing.
okay.
Great games, but Agent 40
Terrible movie.
movies.
Was there two? Timothy Olyphantastic's in the first
is in
one.
one of them. But anyway, the games are great, and especially these new ones are fantastic. So anyway, he walks around, and I think there's been arenas and airports and concert halls, and he sneaks around, and he has to sneakily take people out, drag them places, take their outfits, sneak into different access levels. This the dude must have played these games because the very
throwing
an apron and
throwing the canola oil into the fryer.
Yeah, because in Hitman you have to find all these things to create distractions, and then you steal their outfits.
Got to laugh when he's trying to figure out a distraction to get out, to get to the roof. So he takes these 2 bottles of canola oil, throws them into a fryer. Also, they're glass. That's never going to happen. They're going to be plastic. The fact that he had 2 glass jugs of oil and then they blow up in this girl's face. And when he goes to the roof and starts talking to the cops, he was like, oh man, her face got messed up. It was crazy. And then this woman, 3 rows down, just started cackling at the way he delivered the line. Where he's like, it was crazy.
Well, because at this point, he didn't see the aftermath, that she was injured. We didn't see
heard
that.
it.
Right. But it's interesting that later on when you see that she did get all messed up, it's
she was leaning over boiling oil.
Well, when you see it from afar away, she's like, you see it from a distance, and I figured she would have ducked, ran away, turned or whatever, but then you go back to her and I'm like, oh, she did get injured.
She got burnt.
And I thought it was more funny because I thought he was making that up because he wouldn't have seen it. And then it happened, and I'm like, oh, that was not
It's that scene in Jaws, was it 4?
Yeah, right.
Where she starts talking about something that she wasn't in the room for.
So anyway, so he's constantly trying to get out, or at least plan his escape, because I guess he's not going to leave the daughter there. But he keeps trying to find ways that they can escape. But when he's like, "Let's go under the stage,"
that is hilarious.
And, and then even the daughter is like, "What the hell are you talking? No, we can't do." There would be so many red flags if your dad was saying these kind of things.
I don't know that that's true.
I don't know that's true either.
Because if you grew up with a dad like that,
who's OCD, we know he's
gonna
OCD.
Seem very normal. You're used to your dad saying weird, stupid.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong.
And a stepdaughter with weirdo parents, to put it politely, and they accept so much crazy stuff, especially at that age. But now they're finally starting to look back and be like,
oh, that was weird.
Why did my mom take me sledding in a 1/4 inch of snow using a piece of paneling? Right?
It's my sister and I have had this discussion before where we will tell stories of our childhood.
Yeah.
And we'll look at each other and be like, oh man, that was so crazy, right? Can you believe how nuts that was? And then you look at other people, they're like, are you guys okay?
Right.
What are you
not to do that now,
though,
right?
Or that wasn't normal, right?
Yeah, when you're a kid,
it wasn't?
It's all you know, so it doesn't seem abnormal.
No.
Well, the other thing that gets me talking about this Hitman style of switching costumes and planting distractions and all this stuff, it's no one in this crowded arena saw him do any of this. Is he a ninja?
I will say,
he pushed someone downstairs in someone would see that. Security would see. Someone would see that. The fact that he just got away with this.
What
stuff.
I will say is, I worked in an arena for, 10 years.
Yeah,
and there was all kinds of stuff that nobody saw.
Yeah.
Because you're just. I mean, let's take for instance.
Yeah.
We'll take a Blues game, right? Blues is the local hockey team. They won the Stanley Cup in 2019. That's all I got to say about that. But at intermission, right, in between periods, that concourse is, you're asshole to elbow, shoulder to shoulder. There's no, it's.
But theirs
packed.
was not that full.
That's true, but people have a tunnel
People
vision.
are looking at what they're looking at.
They're going to the bathroom.
People don't scan the crowd.
They
at
don't.
a concert in the same
Okay,
way.
here's my complaint then. I get it. And this is a movie. I'm fine with you writing fun fiction that, this guy's so good he gets away with stuff. But every shot that Shyamalan gives us is close up, so you can't see where were the people. Where
that
were
is
the,
fair.
Like he cheats in a way that when Hartnett pulls this stuff off, you never see it, right? So he's like, oh, look, there's a fryer, and this girl's working around there. Okay, I get that she's busy. We never see him climb over the thing, find the canola oils, bottles, put them in the oil. Like what we see is him looking at the fryer and cut back to him from a distance, and the lady goes and finds them in there. He cheats. It's done,
So
right?
this is what I will say about that.
I want to
though.
see him be that sneaky, and you
Yeah.
show me he's
But-
that good, and then I'll believe he's that good. But
I think he definitely comes from the less is more camp, right? Like I think that's fair to say. I think
Yeah.
most of his movies,
if the stuff is even close to believable, then less is more is
and
fine.
I think him showing us the bottles, showing Josh Hartnett look at the bottles, and then the bottles being in the fryer, it's like, okay, we can pretty much assume what happened.
I wasn't confused by what happened. Like, let me be clear. I get it. What I'm saying is that I think it's impossible what he did. Even
You want to see him actually execute that.
show me how he's that good. If you
Right.
can show me in the crowd that the lady had her back turned and she was talking to someone and everyone's so distracted, show me he can do it that good and that sneakily without one person raising suspicion. And then I'll be like, damn, that guy's awesome. Now this makes sense. He is incredible.
He's a serial killer, Kevin. He's not awesome.
But no,
he's a
but,
bad guy.
But what he did was he found a few scenarios that were really tricky, and he said this guy's the best. And then you saw before and after.
Did they give us a time frame as to how long he'd been operating? Did they say that?
I don't remember. I mean, he had
Okay.
killed quite a
15
few
people?
people. Yeah.
For some reason, number 12 is in my head.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But also, can we talk about how the concert ends in the middle of the day and they go and have a whole half of a movie in daylight after a concert gets out?
Yeah, like
They went to a matinee concert.
But
it makes
also,
no sense.
If she's doing it, she's saying she has 2 shows. She said that. It's like that they
and
added
there's
this,
signs that say two shows.
so she's got to come back. She's gonna do another show.
well,
Oh, I guess they could do it at night.
they
the
could do
next
2.
day.
Like normally in an arena, they would do 2 nights.
that was the
They
Taylor
wouldn't
Swift
do
They
thing
would
that we
never
did.
do a morning concert and a night. Have you ever had a morning
Yes,
concert?
the circus.
Like a
Yeah,
but like
Disney-
a
Disney
but
on
not-
Ice.
this crowd, a pop star
If
concert.
a concert does 2 shows, it's 2
2
nights.
nights. So it doesn't make any sense. Like when she left, and then I go, hold on. They went. we spent a day with these folks, and I mean like a 24-hour period.
Yeah,
They
it's
go like in the morning. It's daylight. They have food. You know what I mean? They get there. They have food. And they talk and whatever. We have a whole concert that lasted 9 hours with 10 intermissions apparently.
Yeah.
Then they get out. It's daylight. They go to a neighborhood. I mean, it just kept going.
the part that
like,
drove
what?
me insane is when they catch him, and he goes to get he's like, can I just pick this bike up?
Yeah.
No,
that's
way.
When you're in
Yeah.
custody,
there's like, oh, and the
Those
cops
dudes-
are gonna be like, yeah, you can go pick up that bike. That's
yeah,
cool.
No, they'd be like,
no,
They wouldn't have let his kids come hug
No.
him.
No, it's
yeah, like,
never,
it's-
never.
dumb.
Yeah.
And then also, like, here's 20 SWAT team members. Let's load him up by himself in the back of this vehicle.
That was
Would you not
also
have armed
insane.
guards in the car
yes,
with him?
you absolutely would have
They
people
walked
in the car
him
with him.
Here's the thing that I laugh the most at because it's so dumb is at the end when they come in and they had people with machine guns prowling the floor
Yeah.
at a concert of 20,000 people. When this guy's in his house by himself, suddenly they're gonna tase him.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, my.
I'm like, if that's not white privilege,
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what is.
I'm
It's
so
like-
glad you
bad.
said that because
this-
during the
this
movie,
serial killer,
They put a bullet right between.
yeah,
You know what?
they will shoot a limousine around a crowd. They will have machine guns at a concert, but they tase the guy in a home with no other people.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's bad. That is not okay.
No,
if
the
you
wife.
make
No,
this,
the wife was there, but that was it. She was in the kitchen.
what I mean is not a
should
crowd.
be.
That's right.
What I mean is not a crowd of unknowns. You know the people in the house.
Right.
If the wife is there.
The collateral damage is severely minimized.
Oh, you're
in this
over. You're over
situation.
there. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
crowd
right,
is
right.
is between me and this. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just-
okay, that's fine.
So that's what I mean. I'm fine with dumb, fun movies. I've even mentioned them. Look at Double Dragon, Street Fighter. I grew up with dumb video game movies that I love. They're highly entertaining. Those are great.
I think of Cuffs. Like Cuffs is
What is
Christian.
that?
It's Christian.
Never seen it.
It's a Christian Slater movie where he inherits like a security company from his
Okay.
brother. It's trash, but it's dumb.
But the tone is probably consistent, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. This movie's too good to then have that bad of writing. It doesn't mesh. It doesn't. Really good production value and some serious dramatic scenes and score and like, oh, this is a serious movie, and then we're gonna be that dumb with stuff.
Yeah.
With the cops, the concert venue, like
All
just,
of it.
It just takes me out of it. It's like, am I either watching a really dumb fun movie or a really good serial killer drama type thing? So anyway, that stuff just killed me.
So yeah, so he hears through. So the T-shirt vendor says, "We went through this meeting. This is the word that we're supposed to say, so that they
God,
know
these
that
people.
we're whatever." And
They're on high alert.
But I will say,
they will trust this guy with
this
any
is what
information.
I will say. I know plenty of people who will just run their mouth. And that is absolutely true. I know them.
I know,
Where it's
but
just
like,
don't
okay.
tell that guy anything because everybody's going to find out.
We're all on. I get that, and that does kind of play into the whole thing. Like, oh, tornado sirens are going off. Let's ignore them. Like, you
Right.
know, I get the mentality there, but they're looking for a killer, and there's got armed people everywhere, and like no one except for the rooftop people even question him. Basically, like
That is
they
true.
pressed him the hardest.
Yes.
You know, they got a little pushback backstage, but they're like, oh no, he's good, he's with us. But like the fact that no one was on guard, even though the whole place should be extremely on guard. Also, wouldn't this woman just cancel her concert?
Well,
Yeah,
no,
like-
because
No,
Hayley
because
Mills went to her and said, "Hey, he's going
The
to be here. We
FBI
have to
she's
go through."
working with the FBI.
Yeah, remember
Okay.
there's that scene in like the control room where they're both in there
It
talking.
just seems
and...
so risky. I just can't
So
believe
this
they
is
would
what
put
I
so
this is-
many
honestly,
people at
this
risk.
is what I thought. I thought the guy in the basement was either
That's
her
long legs.
was her brother, or
Yeah, I thought she was going to have some sort of connection to the
yes,
guy.
or when she sees the
Oh.
ring or the necklace, whatever the kid's wearing,
Yeah.
the piece of jewelry.
The kid had the ring.
I thought she
I
recognized.
just
it.
realized that. So the singer is Shyamalan's daughter, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
And
She's
he
the
made
one-
her the hero of the movie,
Of
like he
course
did
she-
in Lady of the Water or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's all this is a vehicle for her to be the hero of
Yes.
this. It's so bad. The ending is so bad. And then she goes to everyone, oh, so nice to meet you. Oh, you saved me. I called out to the internet. Like, it's so
Yes.
bad. And it's his daughter being the hero.
Yes.
I never connected that like that was such a tee up
This,
for
you know what? This is what I will say. This is because this is a hot button topic in Hollywood right now. Is the nepotism, right? I don't
You
have a
don't think
prob-
she earned this one?
No, she didn't earn directing that movie either. That movie was trash.
What movie was it?
That one with Dakota Fanning, Ellie Fanning, like They're Watching Us or something.
I didn't see it.
That's the
Okay.
one that she directed.
Oh.
It's not good.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't have a problem with nepotism, right? I think if
Like, that's how you got on the podcast.
That's exactly. My dad was here.
I mean, everyone's going to help their kids get a leg
And
up.
they
Like,
should.
that's not abnormal. I think
You
I
get
don't-
your foot in the door.
I don't
that's-
have even a problem with the idea that it happens. I think the problem is, for me anyway, one, Hollywood has kind of reached critical mass where it seems to be almost
Only
the only
nepotism.
way
That's about all we got.
to enter. But also then when they also refuse to even acknowledge that it's a thing,
Right.
like, oh no, I'm here because of like, and I'm not saying they're not talented.
Some of
but-
them are.
yeah,
But that's the
extremely
thing, though.
talented.
Like, it is extremely difficult to make it in Hollywood, whether you have connections or not. Like, you know, if you're a bad actor, I know there's exceptions, but there's only so many times before you're not bankable, and then if the
I
money's
almost
not
said, I
there,
almost said Kate Capshaw, but that wasn't really nepotism as much as you were Steven Spielberg.
but you know, if you're not making money, if you're not bankable, you're gonna go. So like, even though you get your foot in the
The
door,
fact that Scott Eastwood has a career is
but
kind of
does
insane.
he? Like, that guy was around, and now what's he
keeps
doing?
showing up.
He's working.
He's working. That's my point.
Okay.
Is like
But Scott Eastwood, if he was really, really good, would be a draw.
You know
he
who
would
I-
be
you know who I-
headlining movies. And
Jack Quaid.
He's great.
I like Jack
right?
Quaid a lot.
He's great. He's
Yeah.
great on The Boys.
And I think he's great as Superman. He was
good
great in Scream.
Yep.
Um,
That's a great example because I watched the finale, season 4 finale last
Yeah.
night. Actually, finally finished
make that guy the Flash.
it. Yeah, he'd be
Seriously,
good.
he's
But
your Wally West.
But I look at him like he's a good actor. He's funny, charismatic.
Uh-huh.
He's good at what he does. That's a great example. But look at Kate Hudson was good at all the stuff that you don't see her that much anymore. But I think she's good.
She runs her own athletic wear company.
Oh, is
yeah,
that right?
she's making.
She owns Athleta, I think.
And look at Wyatt Russell.
That's one of those.
Look, man,
he's
you're
kind of in the Eastwood category
50-50.
to me. But
Hey, man,
He's been in some really good stuff.
Yeah, and he's.
Really?
I think
Under
he's
the Banner
good.
Heaven was good.
okay, I need to catch.
Oh
that
yeah.
stuff.
What was
Yeah.
the World War II like monster one? Where like they were the.
I didn't like that one.
I did like that.
Yeah,
Wolf,
I
almost
most
called it
Overlord.
Wolf-
Most people
Overlord.
liked it.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
But anyway,
and he's bad Captain America.
I thought he was great as bad Captain
I think he's
America.
great as bad Captain America.
He just has this thing, and so it may not even be.
He's supposed to have that.
No,
thing.
I understand as an actor. There's just something, and I don't know if it's just that he's not Kurt Russell, but there's something when I see him where I'm just like, ugh, I just don't like his acting style.
I also think the other thing that irritates me about the Nepo baby thing is that it is so expensive.
Yeah.
And it's such a huge gamble that most people that don't come for money won't even roll the dice on a career.
You
Sure.
can't leave your
Sure.
job and
Yeah.
not have any income to risk it while you're auditioning.
Jaden Smith is a prime example.
Yeah.
Just to tie it into M. Night. I'm seriously like to tie it back into M. Night Shyamalan. Like that kid had no business being in front of a camera. He was a
Karate Kid. He was pretty good as
precocious
a little
kid, right? Pursuit of Happiness, The Karate Kid.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good as a
That's
kid,
fine.
kid actor. But
Should've-
he doesn't. What does he do now? He
That's
really
my
doesn't
point.
act anymore. Yeah.
That's my point. So they figure out that the only way to get out of here is to go backstage. So Josh Hartnett makes up this elaborate lie that his daughter had cancer, leukemia, and she doesn't want to admit to it. But and of course, here's your M. Night cameo. It's like, brother, you're not Stephen King, so stop it. But
going into this movie, obviously he always has a cameo, so I was waiting for it, and I was thinking how much I hate his cameos. I don't know. I didn't really mind
this one didn't
for
bother
some
me
reason.
as much because he's really nothing to. He's just a guy.
I don't like it if he's the hero or whatever. Like sometimes he's just too in the like.
Well, when he's the one that hits Mel Gibson's wife, right? Like or he's the one that. Isn't he the one that has like the bomb or something in Unbreakable? The Bruce Willis detects.
He's at the arena. Yeah, he catches him there. I don't know. But I didn't mind this one, even though this was one of his larger cameos. Like it went on for a good amount of time, but I don't know, man. They do kind of take you out of it a little bit. Yeah.
So he gets backstage. Of course, the daughter gets to go up on stage with Lady Raven. She has this. This is the scene that made me laugh. Is where the mom and the daughter. This mom who was a complete bitch to Josh Hartnett for no reason, where she's like, "You're being condescending," and then he's like, "Hey man, I'm not doing anything. Like you're coming at me." And then when the mask comes off, and she's like, "Never mind. Okay, sorry." But when the daughter gets up on stage and she's dancing with Lady Raven,
well, it was very funny when she said, "I've got a dark side," and she's saying that to a serial killer.
Right.
Like those are some really funny moments.
But then you see the daughter and the mom screaming at each other.
And she throws a drink at the mom. That got a huge laugh out of
and
my
she's
audience,
like,
too.
"You're awful." Like the mom's like, "You're awful," and whatever. So they are two main characters. The father and daughter are backstage, and Lady Raven he realizes that he has to go through this police barricade, but the only way to get through the barricade is to be part of Lady Raven's crew.
The exposition.
It is
dump.
ridiculous.
Hey guys, you'll have to go through there. It's no big deal. It's a standard checkpoint. They'll just ask you some questions. The only people that get through without any questioning are people in Lady Raven's closest friends. Like, dude, shut the fuck up.
I will say
the writing is so bad.
when they can't catch him and the concert is over, and Hayley Mills goes, "Stop every man, stop them all," and I was like,
Oh, another
boy.
thing that I was laughing at because it's so dumb is when he goes to the bathroom.
"Yeah,
There are no way there are this many men at this concert.
that is correct."
No way.
Yeah, you're not waiting, buddy. You have.
I remember when we did the Cheetah Girls during that 6-month window where they mattered.
Yeah, right.
And I remember walking into the bathroom in the middle of the Cheetah Girls concert, and there were like two other people.
Taylor Swift.
Echo,
Taylor Swift
echo.
was so I worked Taylor Swift right before she.
Oh man, that's boyfriends though, right? Don't you bring some of the boyfriends are going to the concert?
Well,
too?
I think Taylor Swift now.
Oh,
Taylor Swift.
before.
This was like
Gotcha.
she was transitioning out of country and into pop.
Okay.
So like easy.
Yeah.
But
we don't need that kind of hate. You thought the Priscilla hate was bad?
Yes.
You say a word against Taylor Swift.
I'm not,
Our numbers might.
She was a country artist, folks.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
she did.
That's a
and then
statement of fact.
She transitioned to pop.
Yes.
And she was like in that period where she was moving away from country, but it was all girls. It's same deal. You go into the men's bathroom.
I think that makes sense pre-pop that it would.
Yes. Yeah.
I just
I
remember-
remember because women always complain about the lines at the bathroom for women, right? And I remember taking my wife to an event where she was just like, "Oh, that was easy breezy. I love it."
Tom's like, "I've been in line for 20 minutes."
It was Kevin Smith.
Yeah. That's so good.
That's
I
funny.
even tweeted it and was like, I'm like, my wife was very excited about how short the lines were at the bathroom.
That's pretty
It's
funny.
quite the role reversal.
It
He-
is.
He liked my tweet.
Oh, did he? That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. That's funny. So this is the reveal.
I
One
like
of
this
them.
part. Okay, Josh Hartnett playing this like crazy serial killer. Like I did
I like him. I've
I like
always
his
liked him.
performance. It's a cheesy movie. The dialogue is bad, but the way he has an energy to him and this magnetism where you're just like, oh, I like him
Going
chewing
wild.
the scenery and getting crazy with
Yeah.
this role. Yeah. So when he sits there and it's awkward, because at first I'm like, this is a really awkward scene, but he's like, yeah, so you've been looking for me, and she's like, what? And he's like, yep, yeah.
This whole thing was just for me.
It's
and
so crazy.
shows
yeah.
the guy on the phone.
Yeah.
She's like, "That's it talks about carbon monoxide," and she's like, "What?"
Because that part where I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm like, what? And he shows it, and
Uh-huh.
we don't know his trap for this guy yet, but he's basically jigsawing it up. He's like, if I get caught in the next 45 seconds, it's going to release carbon monoxide, and this guy's going to be dead. Here's his name, all this. So you're going to get us out of here.
Right. So she does. It's not tense at all. Like it's they get him out to the car, and then this is the switch where it stops being about Josh Hartnett and it becomes about Lady Raven.
Also, she has no security.
none, no security.
So I believe when
whatsoever.
she enters the building, she's surrounded by some kind of an entourage.
But
like,
yes, you're right. She does have like a 2 or 3 guys
just
surrounding
right,
her.
big,
yeah.
right. So like, you're telling me this pop star with this many crazed
Who
fans
seems
and
to be like on the level, like if we were to compare her to anything, is like Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga.
She's a
Like,
huge
that's-
artist.
Yeah, I mean, they said there's 20,000 people at this show,
Right.
and she did 2 of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
So,
that's
a lot.
So
this is Taylor Swift circa 2009.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So when she leaves the show, you're telling me she just gets in a limo with the driver and no security?
Yeah. Nope.
Like, again, these are writing things that just, I think they're cheats. I think he put these characters in very unbelievable situations so they'd work with where he's trying to get them, but they're just not feasible. Like,
No.
if you know the way it's a movie. I don't need everything to be realistic, but it's just if you have any semblance of how things function and what you need for a star and all that, it's like, why?
What I think would have been better, and they kind of do this where he's always one step ahead. Like when you think you've got him caught, they're like, oh no, we don't.
Yeah,
like,
that's fun.
And
That's
they
the
do,
fun part
and
of
I
it.
do like that.
Yeah.
Did you ever see there was a show on NBC with James Spader? What was the name of that show?
Blacklist?
Yes, and it's very
The
similar
Office?
to yeah, right. Robert California. Where the character is very similar.
Mm-hmm.
He's insanely charismatic on that show,
Yeah.
but he's always like 20 steps ahead of whatever cop is.
He was in Stargate, wasn't he? The movie?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
the scientist guy or whatever. Like, I grew up watching that. That's the
yeah.
first thing I
What
saw
was the
James
one with?
Spader in.
What was the one? Was it Matthew Modine? Where they're the less than zero? No. Wasn't were they,
Sex Lies and Videotape is the first time I remember seeing
there's that one, but
something.
there's another one where he's like buddies with some like one of those. I think it's
Yeah.
Matthew Modine.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Because I remember Less Than Zero being
It's Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
Jr.
And it was like, oh boy,
Yeah.
there's life imitating art there,
Yes.
bud. Yeah. So what's the one where he gets the girl the abortion and then she ends up leaving him anyway for the best friend? Is that Less Than Zero?
Spoilers.
Last American Virgin?
That isn't he? I think he's in that.
Oh, is he?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I guess that is a spoiler for the last American Version.
They play
Sorry.
it just once
They do.
as the credits roll.
Yeah, that is
It's a weird movie.
it's a weird
because
movie
it's
for
like,
sure.
It's like half of the movie is like wacky 80s teenage sex comedy.
Yes.
And the other half is like this kind of serious drama. And it's not like the movie takes a turn at some
No, it
point.
just weaves
It's
in
like
and out.
every other scene. It's
Oh,
like
okay, that's
it's like it's wacky fun. No, it's not.
Right.
It's wacky fun again. No, it's
See,
not.
that's the tonal inconsistency that I don't care for as much. But like, if you have a movie like A Place Beyond the Pines, I like it when movies or Waves or I
Place
like
Beyond
these.
the Pines though are different stories.
Well, they're not. They're interconnected.
Yeah, but
But it's one movie. That's what I'm saying. But they shift. You know, it kind of takes a shift, but in between
like 4 rooms.
the acts, right?
Yeah.
So I like it when a movie can change like that, and it's really interesting. But when they go back and forth, the tone seems weird. I don't like it when it's like, what are we watching? Is this a series? Because you're trying to figure it out. Like, you want to live in this world of the movie, and if it keeps changing, it's hard to, you know what I mean, to be on
I
board
agree.
with what they're doing.
So anyway, they get to this house and she ends up stealing her daughter.
This is where I thought, I'm like, oh, the wife is the killer, or
I
he's
thought-
covering up for her.
or
I
they're
thought they were in on it
a
together.
pair. I thought it was going to be
Yeah.
that they're a team.
Yeah.
I think him cleaning up for her though would be the funnier because he's OCD.
OCD.
And the fact that like she's killing, and I know he's got the guy on the camera, but like it's really her being the
Also,
mastermind,
how
and
did she
he's
log
like
into her?
protecting him.
How did she log into her own? I guess she didn't. She must have.
That's what confused me too, because she took his phone, but I guess she still had her phone. Because I was like, how is she pulling up live on his phone? But
yeah, how are you going live on TikTok?
Because then he's
on
like,
his
how
phone?
many phones do you have? Like, I guess she had 3 phones.
Yeah, she had the daughter's, her
his,
own.
and
Okay.
her own. So
Also,
I had the same, because that's what I mean. The editing was bad because I need to see like
whose phone is that?
right. No,
How did you log into
she
your account
steals
so
his
fast?
phone, and now she's logging into Instagram Live or whatever.
Yeah, or TikTok.
and you're
whatever.
like, what, did you at least show me where your phone is? Like, it just was
Also,
messy, you
that
know?
door has got to be one of the sturdiest doors.
Oh yeah. By the way,
That
bang, bang, bang.
wait,
let me in, please.
the fireman doesn't kick that door off the hinges in one shot. And Josh Hartnett's like 6'4", 6'5",
Yeah.
and he's not a small man.
Yeah.
It is kind of wild to see him, like when you see him among other actors in that movie, and he's just towering over all of them. But you're telling me he couldn't just put his shoulder into the door, and it's like, that takes care of that.
But like also, if at this point, if she's like, you're the killer, and he's like, I need to cover things up now or whatever, you would just break that door down. Like he was staying there for 5 minutes. You open up that door, young lady.
knock
Just do it.
bang it on the door.
Just knock it down.
Kick it in. What are we doing?
It's so dumb.
What are we doing?
He's the killer, and she's outing him, and she's on live ruining everything for his plan and all this. It's like he had a long time where he could have just busted the door down.
Right.
So
And it didn't.
doesn't make sense.
So they get out. We find out that there is a secret passage in the house. Like everybody gets out. The hostage gets freed because apparently through the power of TikTok, they figured out where this house is.
Crowdsourced it.
That's true. You know what?
They do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I like the idea that there'd be people like, you know how these online investigators are solving crimes and stuff. Like they've actually solved some stuff. I mean, sometimes it goes bad, and
What
I
was
get
that?
it.
What was that one
The
on
cat
Netflix?
one.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't F with cats.
Yes.
Yeah. No, sometimes it takes a turn for the worse. I don't mind it if you're like just helping gather information or whatever. It's kind of neat.
What was
but
the one that killed Patton Oswalt's wife?
The Green River Killer? Well, that didn't kill his
But no,
wife.
it's a serial killer she was
But
following.
she wasn't a trained investigator. She was just putting the Golden State Killer.
Golden State
Yeah.
Killer.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But she wasn't a trained investigator. She was just putting stuff together. She was
like
author.
a
journalist, though,
She was a
right?
journalist, though.
Writing a book or something, right?
Yeah.
I think she was trying, and then she broke the case.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't get her killed.
But that's
No,
different than
well,
like
I think she had-
if she was doing a show and then the people came and like
I think I should probably stop talking about this because there's always the rumor that Patton Oswalt had something to do with it.
I've
I
never
don't
heard
believe
that in my
But
life.
I've heard
but-
right-wing
but-
nut jobs on the
Oh
internet
yeah.
say that.
Don't
Have
like him,
have you
though.
seen how eerily similar his wife now looks like her?
No,
It's creepy.
Well, that makes me feel that he would be less likely.
That's what I'm
to have
saying.
done that.
I don't think that he did, but it was like
Yeah.
I said that one time, and Jason from Binge was like, mm-mm. I was like, "Oh, really?" I fell down a rabbit hole of like, "Oh,
People have types.
no, that's true."
You know?
And apparently, he just wants a carbon copy,
Well,
which
I
is
don't
fine.
know.
I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know
making
about
all
So
of that. I'm teasing.
anyway, the point is, I thought it was kind of realistic. That,
I'm
oh,
joking.
yeah.
I just want to say that I'm joking.
Well, this probably won't be in the episode.
Oh, good.
So the thing is that people do crowdsource things and people do try to investigate. I like that part, but the fact that like it came together so quickly.
Yeah.
We're talking about people put together evidence over days, weeks.
Well, I
solve
mean,
crimes,
I will say
like,
she does say, "I'm in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I'm looking for this."
Yeah.
I know,
You know.
but it just okay. It's a movie, whatever.
Right.
Fine.
So he gets away. We think that he is.
They took so much time to go into that building, and then like he's preparing things, tidying things up, getting
Yeah.
whatever. They gave him so much time, and then they do bust in there, and they're like, "Oh, there was a passage
to the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
So everybody leaves the house. The wife, they can't find him. They do the whole thing we talked about at the limo, and he ends up escaping through the crowd like Tom Cruise and Mission and Jack Reacher.
She's in her limo. I guess they've taken, so we never see that limo driver again.
No,
Right. So like the limo driver that maybe in like the 2 hours she was there, maybe would have checked in on her or something. I don't know.
No.
He's gone. The SWAT team comes and like, okay, ma'am, sorry, we're gonna take you home now or whatever.
and hits him in the SWAT gear.
And it's him.
Yeah. So he gets away. He goes back to that. They drop the mom off at the house. Who is the mom? Who's the gal? She's the drummer from Scott Pilgrim. That's what I know her from. In Scott Pilgrim's
Oh,
band,
really?
She's the drummer in that band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We are. What's the name of it? Sex Bomb.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't
she's-
realize that was
she's
her.
the drummer.
Jeez.
So
between her smile and her eyes, I thought she was the mom in Coraline.
that's very true.
She reminds me of not that I thought it was her or anything, but she kind of reminds me of who is the gal in Punch Drunk Love?
Zooey Deschanel.
No. She used to be in a lot of movies, and she kind of just disappeared. I think she was in Punch Drunk Love. She was the wife.
Not Emily Mortimer.
Yeah, you're on the right track. So
She was in Red Dragon.
yeah, what is her name?
What is her name? Yep, I know
Anyway,
exactly what
but
you're talking about.
she kind of disappeared, but I was like, but she had kind of the features that she reminded me of her.
Yeah. That's gonna drive people.
I know. Good pull though on
Um,
Emma Thomas, not Thompson, but is it Emma Thomas?
I don't know.
Emma something.
I was
You're
proud
Emma.
of- I was proud of myself with Emily Mortimer.
Yeah, I'll look it up. But Emma something. I'm pretty sure
She played the blind gal in Red Dragon.
Yep.
So yeah, the wife goes back to the house, and then he's there, and this is
Emily Watson.
Emily
I
Watson.
haven't seen her in forever, but yeah,
Yeah.
she kind of had similar features.
We found out earlier in the movie.
But can we talk about when they go through that crowd of people before they shoot up the limo and all that stuff? The crowd's there and like, oh my God, it's whatever her name is, Raven. And then they're looking at the front of the van and there's a guy in SWAT team gear
But
driving a
then when
limo.
she rolls the window down and says, "Please help me," and they're like, "Oh."
And
but
then-
again, I also just watched a documentary on Princess Diana, and that's exactly what happened to her when that car crashed. Nobody helped her. That paparazzi just took pictures and just let her wallow in the car.
But like, it's just weird. The crowd was like, oh, that's her, whatever. And there's a whole crowd surrounding the limo and no one went, why is there a guy in SWAT team gear driving a limousine? Like, that's weird. Do you think we should do something? I don't know.
Nope.
It was very strange.
so
So he escapes. He does his hitman thing. He gets out in a hoodie and
nobody
walks
can
away.
notice.
Yeah.
And we had found out earlier in the movie the reason they had gotten on to him is they found one of his safe houses, and in the safe house was a ticket stub or a piece of a ticket,
receipt
a
for the
receipt
tickets
or
or
something.
something,
And
yeah.
that's how they did it. And Josh Hartnett is talking. He shows up at the house and he's talking to his wife and he's like, "You left it there. Like, you're the one that did this." And she was, "Because you thought I was cheating on you." And she was like, "Yep."
Yeah.
And I did all yada yada.
I followed you and I saw and you had this concert ticket.
Right.
But and you get the ending of this thing when she doses the pie is the most predictable, generic, and let's have this piece of pie. Do you think she drugged it? Like, and the fact that happened, there was nothing more clever than let's eat this piece of pie.
I didn't even think about it.
Oh, please.
Because I didn't. Like, I was so
Kevin
checked out.
has been traumatized by pie. in
That's
movies
true.
before.
Josh
true.
Brolin messed him
Yeah.
But
up.
come on, when she said let's eat this last piece of pie, how obvious is that something is?
So I did think, I'm like, she's just buying time. Like, that's
Okay,
I didn't even
but
think about that there
I'm
was
just like,
stuff.
come on, something more creative than I drugged the pie. That like, let's finish celebrating this pie.
The guy
It's
who was
just
so OCD didn't check the pie.
yeah, the guy that's so methodical about everything just takes food when he knows
I can
his
finish-
wife
I
knows
can-
he's the killer.
I laughed at the line where he's like, "I can finish in 5 bites."
Yeah.
Like he was a child. Like, "Oh yeah, I can eat this faster than you can."
So
Nah,
dumb.
nah. Yeah. So he gets they arrest him. This is the scene where the bike is tipped over and he's like, "Can I pick
Oh
the
please,
bike up?"
let me go to this bike that I might have
By
a
all
gun hidden
means.
somewhere.
Prolific serial killer, go pick up
Yeah,
the bike.
there might be a knife or a gun or anything over there.
Oh,
no, let me
please,
just go.
please, prolific serial killer, hug your child
Yeah.
in this one moment.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Well, the Supreme Court has ruled that if you don't allow a serial killer closure, they can be acquitted.
Like, yeah. So he gets in the back of the van, and we find out that he has pulled, I don't know, like a piece of a bike. The piece, a
Spindle.
spoke.
Spindle, right?
Is that what it was?
Well, it's
Off the-
spoke. I would have
off the
always
top,
called it
off,
spoke.
off
Yeah.
the tire.
Yeah.
He pops his handcuffs, and he's free.
And he's
Yeah.
laughing
And
like
he's laughing
it's
like, "I got
Trap
away
2.
with it." And I was like,
Ugh.
"Oh boy, oh boy, I do not need a Trap 2." Or if honestly, I did. I thought that she was going to say that she was the psychiatrist that took over for Sarah Paulson, and everything about this movie felt like they were going to tie it into something
I don't
else.
think he's got a big enough second franchise.
He doesn't.
that anyone would get excited about him tying it into.
And he
Yeah.
killed all those people. I guess
Yeah.
he didn't. He didn't kill the son. He didn't kill.
And then the closure is like
Taylor-Joy.
Raven goes and she finds the guy that she saved from the basement and is hugging everybody. It just felt so cheesy
It's
the way
so
that he made
bad.
her the hero of this movie.
Yes.
Like, that's fine if she saves the day and all that, but the way that she's spotlighted just felt so
This movie sucked. Uh,
it's dumb.
It's so dumb. It is hilarious that you have the exact same complaints about this movie that Tom had about Long Legs and vice versa.
Yeah,
I
which
mean,
I
it's
think is
interesting.
wild.
It's interesting.
For me, it was fun to see Josh Hartnett again.
This was fun in the first half. Again, the arena is dumbest things where I'm like, oh, it's Hitman. Like him getting into disguises and doing this stuff. That's fun for me, right? I can just check out. It's so stupid and unbelievable. But when they got to the stuff all involving SWAT team and cars, and they knew it was him, and then the wife knows it's him, and all the dumb things with not breaking down the door, like there were too many things that were just like one thing after another. Of like he wouldn't be that hard to catch, or that it just.
I completely agree. And
the most incompetent police squad and people you've ever seen.
Well, yeah.
Since maybe Police Squad.
Well, maybe the concert was actually in Uvalde.
Honestly, it was going to get revealed that it was a training exercise. I was like,
Oh,
what kind of? I mean, like in the M.
You were
Night
really looking for a
Shyamalan,
twist, man.
in the M. Night Shyamalan world, I was like, oh, this is all going to be like you fucked up, all of you. Like this wasn't real. There's a movie called April Fool's Day, I think, that it came out during the slasher boom.
Oh, geez, yeah, with the girl with the noose in her hair.
Spoilers for that movie.
Right on the cover, that's
it's
a noose
all
with the hair.
a joke. You think all of their friends are dying. It was all a setup.
That's
April
crazy.
Fool's Day.
It's April Fool's
That
Day.
is an insane ending to a horror movie where people are getting murdered.
And and the people in the movie were like, oh, she was in Friday 2. She was in Nightmare 3.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, oh, these are people that I've seen before. Nope.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
There's your salt mine thing I'm going to do. April Fool's Day.
Anyway, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at JoeyButts, BUTTS21, and on Letterboxd at the same.
This is Kevin. Follow me on Twitter at Kevin R. Brackett.
And this is Tom. You can follow me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget our Patreon, and watch them on the YouTubes. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, Larry gets arrested for driving without a license.
Get ready for a spoiler